I never thought the day would come when my own flesh and blood would turn his back on me like this. My name is Evelyn, and if you're watching this, pull up a chair. Because this is the story of how my husband passed away, and my son sent me straight to that crumbling old house on the edge of town. I thought we were a real American family, mortgages paid, family dinners every Sunday, college funds saved. But greed has a way of rotting even the strongest roots. What my son didn't count on was that karma was already writing the final chapter. Richard and I built everything together. 42 years of marriage in this quiet Ohio suburb. We started in that little 2-bedroom house, the one everyone called the old house. Back when our biggest dream was just paying the mortgage on time. We scraped by on his factory shifts and my part-time office job, but we made it work. Sunday pot roasts, fireworks on the 4th of July, teaching our boy Ethan how to ride a bike in the driveway. We upgraded to the big colonial on Maple Street when Ethan was 10, newer kitchen, backyard big enough for barbecues, the whole American dream wrapped in white siding and a 2-car garage. Richard always said, "This house is for our family, Ev. No matter what." He got sick fast. Cancer. The kind that doesn't give you time to plan. I spent every night by his hospital bed, holding his hand, promising him I'd be okay. Ethan came around at first. Brought flowers, talked about how he'd help me through it. His wife Brooke even baked casseroles. I believed them. Why wouldn't I? He was my only child. The boy I stayed up all night with when he had the flu, the one I worked double shifts to send through college, so he wouldn't have student loans like we did. When Richard took his last breath in our bedroom on Maple Street, I thought at least I still had family. The funeral was on a Tuesday. Rained the whole day. Ethan stood right beside me at the graveside, arm around my shoulders, whispering, "Don't worry, Mom. We've got you." 2 weeks later the tone changed. He and Brooke sat me down at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd eaten Thanksgiving turkey for 30 years, and said the big house was too much for me now. The old house is still in the family, Ethan told me with that smooth smile he used when he wanted something. It's quieter out there. You can have your space, your memories. We'll fix it up for you. And we'll handle selling or renting this place for the grandkids' college funds, you know? I was still in shock, still wearing my black dress from the funeral. I trusted him. So I let them pack my things. They moved me out while I was at the doctor. When the moving truck pulled up to the old house, my heart sank. The place was worse than I remembered. Peeling paint, leaky roof, furnace that rattled like it was dying. The furniture they left me was the old mismatched stuff from the garage. No cable, spotty cell service, and the nearest neighbor half a mile away. Ethan promised he'd come by every weekend to help with repairs. That was the last time I saw him for a month. Brooke posted pictures on Facebook the very next week. Her and the kids decorating the Maple Street house for Halloween like it was theirs. "So grateful for family homes," the caption read. I sat on the sagging porch of the old house, wrapped in Richard's old coat, and cried until I couldn't breathe. The pain settled in deep after that. Mornings were the worst. I'd wake up expecting Richard's coffee smell, then remember. No one called. Ethan's texts were short. "Busy with work, Mom. Kids have soccer." Thanksgiving came. I cooked a tiny turkey in that ancient oven and ate it alone at the wobbly kitchen table, listening to the wind whistle through the cracks in the walls. I thought about all the holidays we'd spent together in the big house. Richard carving the turkey, Ethan laughing with his kids, me watching my family and feeling like the luckiest woman alive. Now I was invisible. A burden. The woman who gave everything and got shipped off to the old house like yesterday's junk. Christmas was even crueler. I hung one sad string of lights on the front porch and stared at the empty driveway. Ethan posted a video of the grandkids opening presents under the tree in my old living room. Brooke had redecorated with new furniture. My heart shattered all over again. My health started slipping, stress, the cold drafts, the loneliness. I stopped sleeping. I'd sit in the dark living room holding Richard's old letters, wondering if this was how it ended for me. Forgotten in a house full of ghosts while my son lived my life. But something shifted one cold January night when I decided to clean the attic just to have something to do. Up there, buried under old boxes of Ethan's childhood toys, I found a metal lockbox Richard had hidden years ago. Inside were the original deeds. The big house on Maple Street? It had never been transferred. It was still in my name only. Richard had made sure of it right before he got sick. There was also a letter from him, dated 2 months before he passed. Ev, if anything happens, don't let Ethan pressure you. He's been asking about the house a lot. Love you forever. That same box had bank statements showing Ethan had quietly drained a small joint account we still had. Money meant for emergencies. And tucked in the back, printed emails from Brooke to some man from her old job. Heart messages, secret meetups, plans to get away from the stress. She'd been unfaithful for over a year, and Ethan had known but looked the other way because the lifestyle was too good. My son, the boy I raised, was living in a house of lies while he threw me away. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I sat there in the dusty attic and felt something cold and clear settle over me. For the first time since Richard died, I had power again. I called an old friend from church, an elder law attorney named Margaret, and met her secretly at a coffee shop across town. No one could know. We reviewed everything. Margaret said it was textbook undue influence and financial misuse. We built the case quietly, recorded phone calls where Ethan casually mentioned selling the big house soon, pulled bank records, even got statements from neighbors who saw the moving truck. The planning took weeks. I used the emergency cash Richard had left me to hire a handyman to quietly fix the worst parts of the old house. No one knew. I practiced my lines in the mirror every night. I was done being the sad widow in the old house. I was ready to take back what was mine. The climax came on a Saturday afternoon in early spring. Ethan had listed the Maple Street house for sale without telling me. Open house scheduled for that day. I pulled up in a cab wearing the nice coat Richard bought me for our anniversary, hair done, looking stronger than I had in months. Margaret walked beside me carrying the folder. The realtor was shocked when I stepped inside my own living room and calmly said, "This open house is canceled. This is my house." Ethan came running down the stairs, face pale. Brooke stood frozen by the new kitchen island. "Mom, what are you doing?" he stammered. I handed him the papers. "These are the original deeds. The house was never yours. You tricked a grieving widow, misused money that wasn't yours, and threw me into that old house like I was garbage. I'm taking it back. Today." The realtor called the listing off on the spot. Neighbors started gathering outside. I looked Ethan dead in the eye and said, "And I know about everything else too. The lies, the secrets in your marriage. I kept quiet because I hoped you'd do the right thing. But you didn't." Brooke's face went white. She started crying right there in the living room. The argument that followed between her and Ethan was ugly. Years of resentment spilling out. The stress of losing the house cracked their already broken marriage wide open. She moved out 2 weeks later with the kids. Ethan had to scramble for a cheap apartment across town. No more fancy house, no more cushy life built on my pain. I moved back into the Maple Street house a month later. The grandkids visit every other weekend now, on my terms. I fixed up the old house and sold it to a nice young family who will love it the way Richard and I once did. The money went into a trust for the grandkids that Ethan can't touch. He calls sometimes, voice small, asking for forgiveness. I tell him I love him, but trust has to be earned back. Slowly. Last month I sat on the back porch. The same one where Richard and I used to watch the fireflies, and I felt peace for the first time since he passed. I realized something important. Blood doesn't make you family when greed and betrayal take over. Karma isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet old widow who finally stands up and reclaims what's hers. If you're watching and you have aging parents, remember this. The house you grew up in, the sacrifices they made, the love they gave, it all matters. Don't throw them away when it's convenient. Treat them with the respect they deserve while you still can. Because karma is always watching. And in the end, justice feels sweeter than any inheritance ever could. Thanks for listening to my story. If it touched you, drop a comment below. Tell me your own family stories. And remember, karma is real. Stay strong, America.